Frank Castle is about to make his long-awaited return to the Marvel Universe under the watchful eye of Benjamin Percy and Julius Ohta. But will the author of the War Journal even recognize the world he's returning to? Well, let's hop into the pages of Punisher issue number 1 and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so last time we were with Frank Castle, he had briefly been manipulated into becoming the new leader of the Hand Ninja Clan. He got himself into a fight with the Avengers, who decided to have a mock trial for his crimes before any actual verdict could be handed out. However, Frank managed to escape and go on a little walkabout in the Conan the Barbarian-inspired Weird World. This new story, though, wastes absolutely no time getting Frank reacquainted with all of his old favorites. He's back in New York, covered in blood, and on a burning boat filled with fentanyl on its way to New York City. Here's the big twist, though. Frank Castle has no idea who Frank Castle is. Yes, that's right, the Punisher has one of those oh-so-classic cases of comic book amnesia, but really it only extends to things about himself. He actually has all the amazing combat and tactical knowledge he's known for, it's just now he rocks it more as a reflex to what's going on around him. Like when the Coast Guard decides to pull up and see what's going on, Frank ends up absolutely unloading on them with an Uzi. Not to actually hurt or kill anyone, mind you, just to give himself enough space to escape, which is exactly what he needs, as he's been shot in several of the most painful and deadly places to be shot. Now, in the B-plot for this brand new debut issue, we are introduced to a priest who ends up getting completely raked over the coals by someone during a confession. This person on the other side of the confessional knows every bad thing the priest has done, like being involved in a human trafficking ring for years, and that these crimes end today as evidence has been sent to the police. Who is this good Samaritan? Well, it may shock you to discover it's none other than Wilson Fisk, the former Kingpin of New York City. This altruistic behavior for Wilson may seem strange to you, but only if you haven't also been reading Saladin Ahmed's Daredevil book. In case you didn't know, over in that book, Wilson got possessed by like an actual demon from hell. Matt Murdock was nice enough to do an exorcism, and when Wilson came back to himself, he vowed to be a changed man and turn his life over to God. It's just, you know, he's got a really weird, messed up way of doing that. It's like you can take the man out of the Kingpin, but you can't take the Kingpin out of the man. Now, the next day, the police are looking over the wreckage of the ship, and we learn that that fentanyl actually belonged to none other than the current Kingpin of crime, Tombstone. Fentanyl, in case you're not tuned into the drug world, is a highly powerful synthetic opioid that is both wildly addictive and in some cases even edging out heroin. Honestly though, the only thing I could pay attention to in this scene is our brand new cop POV character, who I thought I was going crazy because I thought she looked exactly like Grace Jones. And then in the next scene we see her absolutely towering over all the other cops. Oh, so it's deliberate, okay. I already made one Conan the Barbarian reference in this video, let's go for two. Now, no one actually knows the Punisher is back in New York City, and because of that, Tombstone naturally jumps to the conclusion that it must be one of his rivals in the other gangs who messed up his shipment. It's this scene here where the book really ends up earning its red band classification. Not only is Tombstone in this art style rendered truly monstrously in a way he's never really been before, but he also goes out of his way to dismember several of those rival gangsters with a meat cleaver. Now, where is Frank while all of this is going on? Well, he's finally washed up on shore where a nice old lady walking her dog tries to render aid. Not that Frank is the easiest person in the world to help. He might be a total amnesiac, but even he knows he can't go to the hospital, and as such, he decides to basically commandeer this lady's house to patch himself up. When the Punisher takes his shirt off, we can see all the horrible bodily damage he suffered over the years, but we also see one very obvious handprint on his back, which I have to wonder if that's a fun little Easter egg or if that's gonna actually come back and be important later on. With no doctors to be had, Frank decides to do some very gory surgery on himself using nothing but a bottle of vodka, an old Zippo lighter, and some tweezers. Oh sure, it's painful, but not as painful as having to deal with the insurance companies, am I right? It's at this point right here the A and B story, seemingly unrelated, start to dovetail together. We see that the Kingpin Wilson Fisk has taken out yet another corrupt sinner, this time a local city councilwoman with ties to the Russians who just so happen to literally be overseeing the fentanyl boat. Wilson talks about how good it feels to do God's work and how he can do a lot on his own with his silver tongue at the same time. He occasionally requires blunter instruments like the ones you need to start a gang war. What does he mean mean by that? Now back over with Frank, the nice old lady finally works up the courage to ask this weird guy who broke into her house his name, and the sad truth is Frank still has no idea who he is. Still though, he thanks this nice old lady for being such a trooper and for patching him up after he passed out. Here's the thing though, when he asks about his head wound, the old lady ends up dropping one hell of a bomb, and that is, oh, that was already patched up before you got here. But wait a minute, if she didn't do it and if Frank didn't do it, then who the hell was messing around with his head? Well, the answer should be obvious, isn't it? The Kingpin. Yes, that's right, everyone. It would seem the next step on the Kingpin's redemption tour is weaponizing Frank Castle the Punisher and using him to attack his enemies, and it's on that note right there the comic comes to a close. And so that was Punisher issue number 1, everybody, and I gotta say, we're off to a very cool start. I knew we would be in good hands with Benjamin Percy, and I'm glad to say I was not mistaken. I will say I am a little surprised by just how modern this story is in regards to everything that's happening in the Marvel Universe right now. I did not think they would pick up on Kingpin having a religious awakening and Tombstone being the current kingpin of crime, but it all really works. Stylistically, this one really ends up earning its red band credentials. It's bloody, it's gory, but not in a way that I think is excessive or overly try-hard. It hits that perfect, nice little balance. This is also maybe one of the few comic book stories I've read in, geez, I don't even know how long, where I feel like they've also actually earned the, hey, let's do an Amnesia storyline. So much happened to Frank in that Jason Aaron run, I can appreciate them just hitting the ground running and go, okay, maybe we'll deal with the fallout from that, maybe we'll just keep going, we'll see. Overall, I think I feel comfortable giving this debut issue an 8 out of 10. Good stuff. Frank is back, and I'm happy. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, you know, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.